Órale, ¿qué tal chicas y chicos? ¿Cómo va?
Hey, what is up, mortals? NierVen here, and welcome to part número 2 of season 1 of What If Deku Became Bane? I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. And so, we begin. He cried until he had nothing left, for he had absolutely nothing. A cold nothing is all that this world had to give him. No quirk, no father, and now it had taken his mother. The officers in the stations, try as they might, could not quell the endless tears and sorrows of the poor green-haired boy. Finally, the greenette gave a scream. His voice was shot from calling out for All Might.
Almighty hero, what a joke. He caused this.
Izuku clenched his fist.
The idiot should have been more tactically aware. What kind of pro hero isn't aware of his surroundings?
The boy punched the air in vain, his mind then back to Bane's words.
I have given you the tools. Use them and return me a worthy opponent.
As far back as Izuku could remember, since the moment he learned to write, a young lad had taken interest in how quirks and heroes operated. However, it wasn't until 3rd grade that he put his analyses into an actual journal, rather than just some random pages scattered about in an empty desk at school or a box near his bed at home. Home. He no longer had a home.
It's not just All Might. He's just one of the many failures that have done this over and over to millions of times over.
Izuku then felt his mind expand. Thought of Bane's recall of his battle with the symbol of peace.
It was his own museum with real people inside. Was he that dense? Did he not consider those lives mine? Or even my mother's?
Izuku recalled the battle between the bank and the museum.
There wasn't even any traffic. Why did he just smash him up the street or down it?
Izuku's mind was going 1,000,000 kilometers a minute. He didn't even hear, much less notice, the arrival of one of the station's police officers. The policeman moved to touch the green-haired boy, and Izuku felt it and batted the man's hand away. He then felt his chest clench. Suddenly, he was back underneath the rafter, with his dead mother's glassy-eyed stare. Izuku let another silent scream, at least to him. He began to thrash around with his eyes glazed over, like his mother's before. The officer knew by his training that Izuku was reliving what he had just been through and was having a full-blown panic attack. However, what the officer did not understand was why a boy, from what he had heard from his medical files, was diagnosed quirkless. Izuku had thrown several officers off of himself, and he tried to restrain him himself. Izuku was like a wild animal. The boy broke an officer's nose and broke another's ribs. Izuku's actions were an after effect of his direct injection of Bane's drug, better known as venom. The panic attack resulted from a severe withdrawal symptom of not ingesting or shooting up more. Every day since then had been hell for the greenette. It took him over 3 months to beat the drug. Every single day was a struggle. He had no one, and his mother and father were both from single-child homes. His grandparents had long since passed before he was even born. Mitsuki Bakugo had attempted and failed to adopt the poor young lad. Child Protective Services had taken her son away, only to bring him right back a week later. And that was the best week of those parents' lives. But it did leave a permanent blacklist for Mitsuki's family, so Izuku became a ward of the prefecture.
I have to get stronger.
This was Izuku's mantra.
I will never go back!
One benefit that Izuku discovered from his first taste of venom was a notable increase in muscle development, which made him stand out within the foster home he was placed in.
I have to get stronger!
Izuku gritted his teeth as several other older aging-out children jumped him again.
I will never!
Izuku burst from the dog pile, taking half a sip of venom. So much for his sobriety. Fuck this place. One by one, the venom-fueled juggernaut had dismantled each and every single one of them. By the time the house's guardian had returned from doing probably fuck all with his government check, Izuku was covered in his attacker's blood and sweat and others' various bodily fluids ranging from yellow to brown. The foster parents' eyes widened as they took in the sight before them, trying to decipher the situation.
Never again!
Izuku proclaimed, breathing heavily as he let go of the head of the boy that led the others. The foster then took a long gaze at the large room, saw all but one of the younger children were huddled in the smallest corner of the room. They're all whimpering and crying in vain for help that would never come. Well, except for one. He was the small and runt of the litter. The dwarf stood proudly as his eyes sparkled at Izuku. The grape-headed boy was the original target of the older children. Before Izuku arrived, they had done horrible and unimaginable things to him, one of which had left him with permanently stunted growth. At first, Izuku flew under their radar until he made the mistake of sharing his food with the young dwarf, out of pity. The act was perceived as weakness, and like blood in the ocean, the shark soon began to frenzy. At first, Izuku's exposure to venom, for the most part, he could hold his own. However, he could only last so long. One swift kick to the groin later, well, Izuku said bye-bye to his sobriety. In a semi-berserker-like rage, Izuku had enough control to distinguish friend from foe.
You prey on all of us!
Izuku snapped one of his attacker's arms like it was a twig.
I'll show you the same courtesy!
It was then Izuku gave in to his vengeance, and was soon after toted away in quirk-suppressing cuffs. Juvie was a mixed blessing for the teen. On one hand, he was pretty much left to his own devices. And on the other hand, he was painted as a target for his thirst for knowledge. Yo, out the way, bitch boy! A young boy named Tyrone shoved Izuku against the wall as his lackey scoffed and feinted to charge at him. Izuku, finally tired of their harassment, had already been 3 months of dealing with their nonsense.
Oh, I got your bitch right here!
Izuku snatched the charging lackey by the head and pulled him down. Fortunately for him, Izuku's knees connected with his captive's nose, shattering it.
Now sit here like a good little boy and shut up!
Izuku released the teen as he spun with a kick, knocking a shank from the other lackey's hands. He immediately followed up with a powerful Spartan kick, making his attacker one with the wall. He then turned to their leader, Tyrone. Oh, now you don't f*** up! Tyrone cracked his knuckles only for Izuku to dash forward. The leader was quick with his hands, and Izuku ate a jab to the face, his nose breaking for the umpteenth time. Through semi-blurred vision, Izuku caught the follow-up cross, linking up with him. He then sent a knee to his stomach, folding the bastard. Izuku then came down with a double hammer fist, splattering into the ground.
You ass!
Greenette then silenced him with a punch to his jaw, shattering it, which sent teeth and blood flying.
Now who's the bitch boy?
Izuku said, towering over his now unconscious assailant. The officers came in, and they had seen the entire matter played out. However, until that moment, Izuku had been a model inmate at the detention center. Also, Tyrone had been a pain in their collective asses for a while now. Izuku only looked at them, then quietly and calmly walked to the wall and knelt, legs crossed and his hands behind his head, back facing the officers. Well, at least he knows he did wrong. An officer then cuffed Izuku as another helped the teen up. What it's worth, Midoriya. Thanks. Izuku only smirked as he was taken to solitary confinement. He would enjoy the time alone. There the boy could study more books on chemistry and biology. A year passed and Izuku was about to begin his classes for his GED, or the Japanese equivalent. However, he passed his parole hearing and was out for good behavior. Usually, he would be sent back to a foster. Momo wasn't having any of that. One benefit he had for being quirkless was that no one would really care about him. So long as he checked in with his parole officer when he was supposed to, he was fine.
You can do anything you set your mind, and corazón, your heart to.
Bane's words echoed in Izuku's mind.
Well, I'm alone, hungry, and tired of this world's
The first thing he did was check in with his parole officer. And it turned out that this was the correct move. His parole officer was also quirkless and sympathetic towards him. So Izuku took advantage of his sympathy. The man was beyond helpful at the end. Izuku received government assistance and a temporary single-room apartment, and the appropriate paperwork he needed. He did not need to attend middle school because he finished while he was in juvie. Though assisted, Izuku still looked for work. However, there was only so much a 12-year-old kid could do. Paper round, a dishwasher at a shady ramen joint frequented by known yakuza, naming those from the Shiei Hazaikai. Izuku had few options.
You said 14,000 yen!
Izuku had finished counting his money.
Workers' fee. Now scram, you rat. We're making tacos tomorrow.
The owner had only given Izuku 1,000 yen.
Be grateful I gave you that, you delinquent.
The yakuza eating at the counter began to snicker. Izuku could hear them. That was when Izuku caught the owner's front kick. With a twist, Izuku threw him on his back, and the green-haired boy then mounted him.
Pay!
Izuku's fist smashed the owner's face, breaking his nose.
What?
Another punch, this time to the man's throat.
You?
Another hammer fist to the guy's face.
Oh!
Even though Izuku was actually 12, he had the body of an 18-year-old boy, due to his exposure to the venom. With one last chingazo, Izuku knocked the owner out.
Clean him out, kid!
One of the enforcers seating at the counter said, grabbing Izuku's attention. All then wore black suits with open-collared white shirts and hard leather Oxfords. The first one who spoke wore gold-trimmed glasses. His lips, much like the others, were thin, except for when he smoked. He had shiny gold incisors sharpened like vampire fangs.
That bastard cheated you.
His partner added,
It's called, what do you say?
restitution and compensation. The second enforcer chimed in. From the looks of what Izuku saw, he was in command of the other two. The first one's partner had blonde hair and was slimmer than the others. The commander wore dark shades and had a long cane. Izuku could only assume that the man was blind. He also had a massive scar in the form of X, which also kind of gave it away too.
Normally chumps like that prick down there's hires.
The enforcer got out of his stool and spat on the unconscious owner.
And just accept this bullshit. You're alright, kid.
His partner spoke with a smirk.
Don't take that shit garbage like that.
What about my ramen? I'm still... Before the commander could finish, Izuku piped up.
I'll be right with you. Just give me a second.
To this, the commander grinned.
My man, hell yeah. Get your money, kid.
The enforcer kicked the owner's side. Izuku emptied the owner's wallet, then register, and even then, the owner still owed him 100 yen. Curly, pay the kid double what he's owed. the commander ordered after Izuku ensured that they were all taken care of. Curly did what he was told, and Izuku bowed respectively. "You're gonna need a new gig, kid." The other two Yakuza looked for their boss and then back at Izuku.
You always have a good eye, Mo.
The commander, now known as Mo, scoffed in the irony. "That's what I do. Now, what can you do, kid? Besides making a mean ramen."
Well, I'm an amateur chemist, Mo-sama.
Izuku swallowed.
I was gonna start making my home lab with money.
"I see you have some sense of respect." Mo then took a deep breath as his head turned to the sound of Curly and his partner. "Unlike some people." To this, Curly and his partner snarled at their commander. "Being smart is great and all." Mo then cracked his neck as he gave Curly and his partner a signal, and they both morphed into a coyote and wolf. "Can you fight?" The coyote and wolf rushed Izuku, who battled them both to the side with a hot walk. They yelped in pain as hot oil hit the sides of their necks. Izuku then pulled out a band-aid and placed it over the bridge of his nose. As soon as Izuku was able, he hopped on the first train back to his foster home. As he snuck into the backyard, he found a bush where he hid Bane's gifts. He had dug them out and quickly left the yard and returned to his new home. He had several theories he wanted to try out, one of which involved the medicated band-aids. Their compositions were nigh identical to each other, so he soaked the whole package in the venom. Now, this fight would be the test. Izuku felt the venom penetrate his skin and his nervous system. His body didn't grow, but his muscles seemed to become leaner and dense. Before the canines could recover, Izuku was on them. He grabbed them by the scruff of their necks and tossed them onto separate walls. More yelping was heard as Izuku then charged the wolf, who howled as his claws extended. With a slash, his claws shattered with Izuku's block. Seeing his opening, Izuku jerked his block down, sending his elbows across the wolf's jaw. Teeth flew with thin trails of blood as the wolf took a knee. "Yield!" Izuku grabbed the wolf by his scruff again. With another yelp, he surrendered, only for Izuku to toss him onto the coyote. Izuku's mind was like a sponge. After beating the venom withdrawals the first time, his mind had expanded its long and short-term memory. He could retain knowledge quicker and understood it easier, so he did what any other normal quirkless would do. He studied martial arts via books in a library when he was allowed to, self-defense shorts from YouTube and other short-term media platforms, TikTok. Juvie had been a perfect place for him to put his knowledge to good use. There would never be another Tyrone incident moving forward. Izuku's breath then quickened as his heart began to race.
This can't be good.
He then felt his muscles pop, once to half the original size.
Huh. So it's temporary and short.
With a roar, Izuku broke clean.
I will break you!
Meanwhile, in Santa Prisca,
¡Achú!
Bane shook his head as he ate arroz con pollo.
¿Qué diablos? I think Mijo's talking about me.
He then smirked to himself as he knew.
Get him, Mijo! Show them no mercy, cabrón!
He then smiled as he finished up his arroz con pollo with gusto. Back in Japan, two men now laid half-naked, bloody and bruised. Mo was now talking towards him, slowly clapping his hands. "Well, kid, welcome to the Shie Hasaikai." Izuku was breathing hard. His muscles were now back to normal, though he was bruised with light scratches where he blocked the coyote's slash. Izuku gave Mo a thumbs up, who in turn threw 2 wallets filled with cash at him. "Your reward, well done. Get the best chemistry set money will get you." Izuku respectively bowed, barely holding himself up. What do we call you?
La Plaga, sir.
Izuku bowed again.
So be it. Now, take Curly's mobile. I'll text you where to be tomorrow.
Bo then pulled out his stick and walked into the alley. When Izuku looked back at his opponents, they were gone as well. And that's it for our video for now, folks. Drop a comment about your favorite series or any suggestions. Thanks to our team for another amazing video. If you're interested in joining our team and you're over 16 years old or at least 16, feel free to check out the link in the description. Thank y'all for watching to the end of this video and have a nice day. And now time for a musical break!
She's into superstitions, black cats and voodoo dolls. I feel a premonition, that girl's gonna make me fall. She's into new sensations, new kicks in the candlelight. She's got a new addiction for every day and every night. She'll take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. She'll make you live a crazy life, but she'll take away your pain like a bullet to your brain. Come on, outside, inside out, living la vida loca. She'll pull you down, living la vida loca. Lips are devil red, her skin's the color mocha. She will wear you out, living la vida loca, living la vida